Honestly, I just hit go on the stream as fast as I could to try to get in for this part of the music. I just like that part of the song a lot. I need to maybe deactivate. Let me turn off display for a second and make sure I didn't rush in here and have something showing that shouldn't be. Do. Cool. All right. Nothing's showing that's bad, I don't think. Let me turn it back on. Captain Hook, hello. You are first. What's going on, Ollie? What's up, Encrypt? Death Rider. Oh, I know what I need to do before it gets too late. Hey, House Pants. Jazz Solo, Thadvik. Ollie just had breakfast, therefore it's morning. What is the proper greeting right now? Is it Ramadan Mubarak? Ramadan Mubarak. Did I say it right? It's spelled like how I thought I saw it. Nice. I am to level, I think I'm level 9 on Duolingo Arabic. But I can't say anything. I can only read some of the sketties. I have to show you one day. I got the music turned up. Let me turn it down a little bit. Hey, Pack Attack, Rule, Vorar, Orcish, what's going on? Federath. Sparrow, hello. Always nice to see you. Hey, Nicodemus. Afoot, what's going on? Raylan Tukov. Hello, my friend. Oh, man. Okay, so. What do I do first? What I'll do first is continue to get let me get the not the last, but the last first big chunk of mobs down in the lower layer. That was the last thing that I really kind of had to do. Hey, Kinji. What's going on, Slayheim? Trevain Cathar said, at least I can get my music fixed since I can't log in. Is the music up loud enough for you? How did stress test go? You were on a silent retreat during the session. Man, that sounds good. It went really well. We packed like 1,200 people into Night Harbor. I think it got squirrely at... Ollie, when did it get squirrely? When did we start to see reports of like stuff just not, NPCs not moving or whatever? Was that at 1,000 or was it before then? Hey, Utris. Hello, Tsunami-san. Sup, baby? What's going on? Hey, Sarinth. Poplar Pear, 1917. What's going on? Hey, Goblin. I don't know. Ollie's stopped listening to me, I guess. I've been abandoned. Oh shit, Cactus Coder coming with the block of text. Ollie, when did we hit what, 1,200 in the stress test in Night Harbor? I gotta read Cactus's text. Over 1,000, yeah, once we hit 1,000 it started getting laggy, which is, you know what, that's alright. We really shouldn't have 1,000 people in the zone, but I said, which is a great success. But we saw, thank you guys for the participation. We saw, man, we saw 1,000 people in like 15 minutes. Yeah, almost hit 1,500 concurrent during the testing days. I think over the course of the weekend, we ended up with, I mean, I could dig in and get the actual stats. We ended up with something like, you know what, let me do that. And then, Cactus, I'm gonna read your thing. Hold on one second. Let me verify. If I can get in here, grab my code. And playtest stats. And when was it again? It was the 13th. We wound up going through that weekend, so 13 is 16th. All right, I'm gonna let that run in. Oh well, that ran fast, I think. So 6,700 people played that weekend. Was Ollie out of here? Okay, see ya, Ollie. Enjoy your food, buddy. Oh, it was merchants. Ollie said when we were playing, normally it was 700 or so before it got laggy in Night Harbor. We identified the bottleneck to merchants this time. So thank you guys. Cactus Coder, I haven't forgot. Let me read this now, go through stats. Cactus Coder said, so excited for beta. Robot, can you help clarify goals for the release window in our guild? Let me turn this down some more. In our guild, people are saying it's 6-1 firm. I believe the goal is 6-1 if it is ready. My thought process is that there's only one chance to make that first impression, and the product's not meant to be absolutely bleeding edge, and thus there is little loss by delaying. Not like there's a concern about competitor bypassing you. For us, honestly, we want to try to stick to that June 1st date as much as humanly possible. because, and I'm just going to be real with you guys, I've mentioned in the past, we've got a 40-person team. There's about 11 or so people on the team who, because of just the way the industry's been, and I mean, it's a mix of things, right? But we've had people that were volunteering on our team that were working other places, other industry jobs, and they were hit with layoffs last year. We've got people that have dedicated more than 4 years of their life out of pocket for the project, whether they be freelancers or people that decided to just like try to go as hard as possible and go full time. We're at a point where it's like, we don't want to take external money. We don't want to go like try to scrounge up some money to make us through like a bit longer. The team's got, again, some of them just have like finite cash on hand as well, and there's a limit to what we can do to help them out. And so we're looking at June and we're like, let's just push. Let's get the game as good as possible for early access. And we know that we've got a ton of shit to do during early access. We don't want the game to be broken when we go in. We'll be looking for those things, look at anything that could be like a critical failure point, and we're trying to make sure we're good. But you guys have been playing the game and play test. You see what needs work. You see what works. We've been open since day one about what we're working on or what doesn't work, or, it's just been a constant evolution. So while there's that thought that, there's only one chance to make a first impression, we're not like a first impression game. And now you could say, well, it's a first impression. Anybody that comes in, you don't want to churn them, right? But it's like, I don't know, man. We've had plenty of people come in like they didn't have a good time the first time, or it was, the tuning was bad that test, or it was laggy that test, or they just get their ass stomped that test because they weren't ready for it or whatever. And then, okay, but they came back, right? So I think what we care about is that for our core audience, you guys that have really stuck with this and have been a part of the process for a very long time, you know what you're getting into, you've seen the game evolve. For us, it's go time with you guys. If the other people come in, they don't like it yet, or whatever it is, we're not going to worry a ton of like, oh shit, did we fail to make that like best first impression with everybody. People forget that like big budget MMOs, show me a perfect launch. I don't know, man. I'm sure there's some out there, but like some of our favorite games came out rocky as Vaporlock, because I almost said the F word, and I was like trying to cut back on it. They came out pretty rocky, and dude, we're a no budget volunteer based MMORPG going into early access. And we're being honest about the fact that, yeah, now we finally want your $15. We've not sold you anything. We've not asked you for anything or any of that leading up until now, but we think that we can put on a decent service and get the ball rolling. So that's what June's going to be. And we really want to stick with it. I mean, honestly, I was part of my, earlier today, I was on a call with the service that we'll be using for like, getting people paid and all of that, like a company called Oyster HR. And so they're handling, because we're distributed across so many different like territories and countries and states and stuff, they're able to help us with like tax law and employment law and getting everybody paid and getting everybody the proper like health insurance and all of that stuff. So they can do that. And I think like, I don't know, it's like 180 different countries and states and stuff. So that was a call earlier today, just in preparation for like, hey, if enough of you give us $15, then we'll be able to get some of those first, 10 to 12 people covered. A lot of people are like, hey, yo, they've got a 40-person team. They've got to have like 50,000 subs or the game's dead. It's like, no, that's just not the case, man. We need to, you know, our big pie in the sky goal is like if we can maintain 12,000 subs, 15,000 subs, then that would be huge. I know there's plenty of people on the internet that don't think we'll be able to do that either. They're like, oh, you know, these guys all have 500. That may wind up being the case in, you know, 3 months after launch. I guess we'll see. I don't know, but like we don't spend a lot of time like sitting around worrying about shit like that. We had 6,700 unique accounts play over the weekend. So for the stress test, we had 6,734 accounts play. We have 10,400 opt-ins for beta. We'll get you more information on beta soon. What we're going to be doing is just doing a regular, spoiler, it'll be like a weekly lottery, and we'll be bringing in a decent number of folks because we got a lot of people wanting to get in, and we want to keep the servers kind of packed, so we'll see. And so we'll get you more information on that soon. We got some good data out of Surafall, our new server, fresh start server. Our fresh start server was neck and neck with Rel, our biggest server, throughout the playtest weekend. So that was pretty cool to see. And we looked, and it had the highest number of people in groups. So it looked like a lot of people got with their groups and decided to like static it. And so that was really cool. Yeah, we had pretty good turnout. Kept it at about like Ali said, about 1,500 CCU peak throughout the weekend. Pretty stable. What else did we say for people that are just coming in? Yeah, it took us about 15 minutes from when the servers came up to hit 1,200 people in Night Harbor on El Tindra for the stress test. So that was good. Okay, I'm going to scroll up and check out the rest of the comments. Crap. I gotta turn the music back up. I can't hear it anymore. Okay. Oddball, what's going on? Glad you like the art. Oh, I gotta scroll up even further. So yeah, Baron. Nope. I was answering somebody else's. Damn, I gotta scroll up more. Okay, that was Cactus Coder. Then Ollie left. Hey Puddlefoot. What's up, Gloomkin? Hey Redris. Qualinos, hello. Happy Face Productions. Hello. Barathos said there's a move to get some old school EQers from certain WoW discords, and it's picking up momentum. We're all excited to see what's in store here. Oh, right on. Welcome. I couldn't believe how fast you came and helped with stuff during the test. Impressed the heck out of me. Halvars said, yeah, I can pull some data on our petition answering as well. Opening a new tab. Our GMs have been pretty responsive, and by pretty I mean I'm trying not to brag too much. They've been damn responsive. And that's one of the things that we're looking at. We're making a very, some of our rules and some of the things that we've got in place, like with the PMP and, how certain mechanics work or whatever. Our big question is, can we scale this if we do happen to do well? And so one of the things that's been a focus is really just getting good tooling for the GMs. And let me see. I'll see if I can get the petitions up for that. Petition data. So Intendra, Heradraw, Krivia, Rel, Starfall. Okay. So yeah, we try to get to you as quickly as possible. There's some gaps. Late US time, early EU time. There's a little bit of a gap there, so it can take a little while. So it pushes the numbers up. But we answered, looks like we answered 500 in 3. Yeah, we answered 503 petitions that weekend. And the average time to claim one, including, like I said, it kind of pushes the averages out, you know, when we don't have good coverage, was 12 minutes. Average time to resolve a petition was 7 minutes. So I think, you know, when you look at other companies where you may have to wait like 24 hours or something to get shit handled, then that's pretty good. And the biggest problem we had was characters being stuck under the world and missing item complaints. Of the issues that you would expect, like, oh, little Timmy stole my mob or whatever, camp disputes, we only had 51, so like 10% of the petitions that weekend. So I'm scrolled way up, so I'm missing some of the comments. I'll get caught up in a second. Baron said, good morning. I was thinking about Spellblade the other day. I was wondering what your thoughts on normalizing procs on weapons. I was thinking something like dual wield would have more procs, but smaller damage. Well, what you're saying sounds kind of reasonable, but I'll be honest with you. Like, I try not to even put my brain in, like, spells, abilities, and class specific stuff at this point. I defer all of that over to Nick, or if somebody else is working on something specific, but mostly I just go, that's a great question for a Nick stream. Tassel76, thanks for the follow. Mystic Fear, thanks for the follow. What's a crack? Thank you for a follow. Like Craig, only with a C at the end. Pathways, thank you as well. What did I say? Poplapare or poplapare? You said I said it right the first time, so please let me know. Lucky Strike, what's going on? Amdo EQ, thanks for the follow. Let me scroll all the way back down and see if I'm missing anything crazy. Housepan said, how many camp disputes petitions were related to the same incident from both sides? Oh yeah, and a lot of those, yeah, you can make that number even smaller because it's usually 2 to 3 petitions for a camp dispute. So. Poplapare, okay, so not German, because the E at the end would make it in Germany. Poplapare. Oh, hey, Criddle. Yeah, it's I was gonna stream yesterday, but my wife had dinner tonight. So work dinner tonight, and I was tired yesterday, so I was like, you know what? Let me just push the stream to today, and then I'll do. Poplapare is French though, but French is not German. Vasil, thanks for the follow. I'm going to scroll back up because I know I missed some other stuff. Roscoe, 1968, said, good morning, all. Retired U.S. Army. Love this game. My 2 brothers and I will be subbing for EA. Right on. The number of people that are playing with like family members or longtime friends or guildmates or whatever, like the number of people that have mentioned that in their opt-in messages, the number of people that we saw doing it during the stress test weekend, it's amazing. Heartwarming. Hey, Blisters. Shirat 34, what's going on? I feel bad because once I get like lost in the mix, then I can't welcome everybody because I start missing names and I feel bad. What's up, my friend Hashpipe? How you doing, buddy? Are you guys gonna be sad if I just scroll down and get caught up? Game is great. Itemization is an issue. Itemization is being worked on this very, very moment. We're doing a lot on itemization front. There's still probably going to be some complaints, but there'll be different complaints. Rich is doing a lot of work on the on itemization front. Nostradamus said, I'm hooked as long as I can have the name K blah 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 sucks. LOL just K. Are you the one whose name I changed? Criddle. I had to chase down some haters and change their names. No names hating other players, please. T-Poon said, we just want y'all to have jobs. Hey, that's my main goal in life right now, is just getting all the guys gainfully employed. Mystery Realm says you got 5 from me. Got 5 on it? Alright. What's the crack? Crack? Hit me with a phonetic spelling, please. Asked. Okay, and answered. Alright, you guys are answering each other's questions and stuff, so I can just scroll down. I want to get caught up. I feel bad. Because I'm way backwards in time right now trying to catch up. What's up, Chinny D? But really, what kind of magic dust have you sprinkled into the design of this game? Because I'm jonesing for more, like I've never have for another game. It's not the best combat or graphics or even story, but it's something. That's the story of my life. I may not be the prettiest or the smartest or the handsomest, but I'm gonna make you like me. No, I honestly, for the people that like the game, the magic dust is the same stuff that the people that just hate the games and think we're being ridiculous for doing what we're doing. I think they kind of go hand in hand. It's like, and that's not to say that the people that have some problems with some of our decisions aren't right. I'm sure there's probably some ways, and we may even discover them over time, where we could accomplish a similar thing that we're wanting to do and be less strict on some of the shit that people are like, oh, this is too much friction, or this is, you know, too dated of a concept, or whatever it is. They may, you know, I've never said that they're wrong. WoW's a great game. You know, there's so many other great games out there, and they do the things these people say. But we feel like there is a experience that is derived from the current approach, and it's just not going to be for everybody. And then we'll figure out, I mean, I'm sure we'll learn as we go. Dirt Passion, thank you for the follow. Were the bussy names still a problem? No, we didn't have as many bussies this playtest. That reminds me, I need to add it to my things to do list. I need to get in and look at the name filter file because it's still too sensitive on stuff that it really shouldn't be blocking. Gary Busey? Gary Busey is different than Gary's Bussy. Is there going to be complete re-itemization after beta before EA? No, there shouldn't need to be complete re-itemization. Regarding itemization, I hope there's some bad items. Easy Lee said, there's no such thing as a good item unless there's bad items. Yeah, so there'll be not so great items. There'll be some items that you'll probably just deem as bad. Then there'll be common, not great items, uncommon, better items. Those two sets of items should be able to get you through and make your power level where it needs to be in order to like keep progressing. Then there'll be rare items, which are, hey, if you're willing to, you know, put in the time, then naturally it's better. And then they're all, hopefully with those slots all filled and looking at like better distributions, then you'll feel less pressure to like have to get the rare item in order to keep moving forward, or to have to get like the ultra rare item to keep moving forward. And it'll make those items something that are just more of a fun thing to seek out, or hey, I've got extra time, so I'm going to sit this camp or whatever. Or hey, I want to go see if someone's selling this item. So does that make sense? What we found was Rich came in and he did a bunch of analysis, and let me see. Like Rich came in and did a bunch of analysis, and what we found were, I can just explain it. What we found were there were just these gaps where we would look, depending on the slot, depending on the, so depending on the class, depending on the slots, depending on the level, we essentially would have a heat map that he created for us that showed the available items. And it's a cool tool. I would show you it, but it's a bit spoilery and you know, I don't want to dox the site and stuff like that. So anyways, so you could mouse over and you would see, all right, maybe this is a yellow dot because it's got a few items, or a green dot because it's got many items, or a red dot because there's only one item within that sort of slot level for that class. And then it would also show gaps. Umpact said, caster items felt lacking in several slots. Oh, for sure. There would be a gap where it's just a gray line and a number. And the number would be how many levels between the last item for this slot and the next item for this slot. And some of them, it was like 40 levels or 20 levels, or right. And so we'd have that heat map that we could look at then. And that just gave us a nice, you know, kind of black and white visual of kind of where our situation was. And so then he went out and was able to start to create the items that would fill those slots, and that'd be the commons, the uncommons, and the rares, and then get that smoothed out. And then what we've got to look at is, do we provide all of the items uncommon through rare for all of the slots going into early access, or do we find some of those that we can start to hold out? Because what we've also got to do is create an itemization plan to go from early access launch to module 1, module 2, module 3, all the way to 1.0. And we need to be able to incentivize these new zones that are coming online. We need to make sure that we don't, like, you know, put all the haste items in immediately or whatever, or put all the coolest cookies in for EA, and then there's not cool shit to go find in the world. So what we're doing is looking at how to then kind of map that out long term. And so that's a discussion that's going on as well. And so we may pull some stuff out, or we may pull some stuff kind of rein it in a little bit for early access. So those of you that have been playing and have seen a lot of the items and itemization and stuff, don't be surprised if you see some changes, but trust me, there's now a longer term plan that's based on better coverage, and just it's a bit more structured now. So that's part of what's going on with itemization. And now we're like, you know, we may, for EA, you may see that certain low level rares are a bit overloaded. We may move some of those items over time. We may get some more rares in, you know, especially at the lower levels before then. Darius said, don't get too structured. Yeah, don't worry. The goal is always to make sure that we preserve some weirdness and quirkiness and have outlier items and all that. But that's got to be predicated on, like, this will be a really shitty example, but maybe it'll make sense to some people. You can't get super technical and freestyle a great guitar solo if you don't know how to play guitar at a basic level, right? Like, you can't play jazz isn't just randomly clicking the keys. It's getting enough of an understanding of the structure that's there so that we know how we can properly deviate from it and what that deviation is, like what the implications are. If that makes sense. Maybe that may be a bad example. Yeah, maybe jazz just kind of is pounding on the keys. All right, so I'm scrolling up again. Sharvon Maggie asked, how do you keep a game like this from getting too top heavy with level characters, and that makes it hard to group at low levels? So there are a couple things that we're trying. One, it's a slower game to level in general. We're very pro alt, right? So there is a finite amount of stuff that people will be able to play. And over time that will expand, but it'll always be a game that's, you know, it's finite. We try to be as alt friendly as possible. So then you'll be seeing alts come up. We want to, rather than spread out all of the players over time into new continents and just kind of keep driving people outwards, we're putting a high focus on making the cities feel very lived in. The housing's rooted in there. You know, you have to come back to town to sell the bulk of your stuff, right? And so we want the cities to not be starter cities. We want the cities to be cities that persist and retain their value for the life of the game. And yeah, so we're trying to ensure that people aren't just sort of like pushed away from the beginning in a way where you just never see higher level players and they never see you. And instead, with everything kind of retaining its value over time, the hope is that promotes more alt play, that promotes more sort of inter-level interaction. I don't know. J-Pop and Pandas, thank you for the follows. I hope you will release a lot of content we have not seen for early access, so you surprise us. Yeah, I don't know. All I can say on that one is we're not going to pull like additional, you know, a bunch of additional zones and stuff out of our back pocket for EA. It's kind of, if you've played the bulk of the game, then when it, you know, comes to EA, that's going to be the game. But then we'll continue to release content as we go. And we'll try to keep that as regularly paced as possible. Automatic Kelly said, got to play over the weekend for the first time, loved it. Can you tell us anything about selection for the beta access? Once you've opted in, what we'll do is we'll do regular lotteries of a decent chunk. And those, if you get selected in that chunk in the lottery, you'll also get at minimum a friend invite. So that, you know, if you're girlfriend, boyfriend, partner, brother, sister, whatever want to play with you, then you'll be able to bring them in as well. Bonks and Shirzat, thank you for the follows. What about the drop rates of the no drop components for Wormsbane armor? We'll be looking at it. Arc Hunter, thank you for the follow. I'm curious, what does the percentage of people leaving before 5 minutes gameplay and those tests tell you as a dev? I guess it's the takeaway potential to fix what's the takeaway potential to fix to pull in those players? If somebody leaves before 5 minutes, I would say it's probably the first question I have is, are they having technical issues? If they leave before 30 minutes, then that's probably more of a gameplay question. At the moment, I think if we look at played an hour or less, let me see if I can find one of them. Let me make this moodier in the background since I'm not getting any work done yet. So if I'm looking at something like this playtest distribution, so if we see in here, then that's higher than it typically is. And what that would tell me is, in looking at this, especially relative to the other ones that we've seen in the past, there we had a lot more just people who have never played ever before coming in. And I would have to look, we'd probably want to dig in and go, was this during the stress test, right? But typically what we've seen to date is about a 30% churn if we assume below 1 hour is churn. And so whenever we have like entirely new, let me see if I can isolate this down even further. Let me just do... Yeah, the common complaints for people that are just totally unfamiliar with the game are, like you said, darkness, sandstorm, graphics, selling to the merchant, dying too quickly, losing their corpse, and what's another good one? Finding their guild leader. And all of that makes sense. So if we go apply filters. That's not too bad. Go to Saturday. So essentially the thing that we've seen... Yeah, that's also not too bad. The thing that we've seen is whenever there's just like a wave of new people. Oh no, map is another one. New people. Then we'll see a slightly higher. Then we'll see a slightly higher, like only played for 30 minutes or whatever. So let's just assume churn. with the idea of the starting cities being relevant when new expansions come or new lands, what's the approach to maintain the old world? Where the old world evolve as stories, event stories unfold? Yeah, so there'll be we'll continue to add zones to the old world. We've already got like zone entrances and hints to new zones and stuff like that, new dungeons in the existing world, and there'll be more of that as we go. So we'll continue to add like expansion level content within the world. You'll leave the continent to go different places, but then you come back. So the cities remain like hubs essentially over time. Tingil, thank you for the follow. You too, Arc Hunter, if I haven't said it already. Is the goal to keep open development open and build the game while streaming? Or is it just for the push to EA? Now, we'll keep doing it for as long as it makes sense and as long as people are coming in, and it's, I don't know. I don't know why we wouldn't do it. I guess, you know, if over time the crowd changes or the mood changes or whatever, then we'll just deal with it. What percentage of 1.0 content does early access represent? When we go into early access, it'll be about 20% of the continent. Sort of. So there's a lot that we want to get into because we just want it to be epic when you go from, you know, one side of the continent to the other, and you're taking ships and you're traveling and you're using caravans and exploring everything that's around the various like racial cities and stuff. Bonks says, not sure if this is the form to ask, but in the test last weekend, the zone line going from Night Harbor into the dunes was absolutely low with mobs on the dune side, ridiculously so. Was that intended, or were they meant to be more dispersed in a wider area? Night Harbor Sun Greet did not have the same problem. It's probably just jacked up a bit, like turned up pretty high, just to try to provide a little extra, some extra mobs to kill in case we were overloaded with people. That's super easy to adjust. Thanks for the follow, Combat Reaper. I have not shared any upcoming plans for beta to start yet, or what that'll look like, Darkest. I want to try to get all that written up in the upcoming update. Issue with sandstorms as they go indoors too. Yep, we've got some issues written up for us to fix that stuff. Somebody was mentioning that they play with their brother. Oh, there it is. Jake said, oh no, friends? Okay. I handheld a few friends who said they would quit without me there to help them. They ended up playing for 10 plus hours each over the weekend. Having a bit of handholding would be good for onboarding. But the thing is, and you guys I know a lot of people call bullshit on what I'm about to say. I get it. I understand it. But we were talking about the formula earlier. You holding their hand was the best hand holding. You held their hand, and then they played for 10 hours. How do we actually complete dungeons? In my experience in EverQuest, people carved out little camps inside dungeons. I never really experienced completion, like getting to the bosses and actually moving through dungeons. It actually confuses me, although I come from there. It's really about finding those camps or finding like the bosses that you want to get to and making your way to them. It's less of like working your way through an instance, whether that be like a WoW or whatever MMO since then or Lost Dungeons of Norath type instance, and it's about just going into these places in the world where monsters live and invading their home and killing them and hanging out there. Did I read your message? Probably, nope. I meant to get there. It's a big block of text, so I skipped it in favor of a quicker one, but was going to go back. Excuse me. Kombucha makes me burp. I figured out 2 bugs in the game last time. For example, I looted a mob when I was full inventory. I wasn't able to drop it to the ground. Was holding it in a hand all the time. And 2, yeah, I think that just it went into your item overflow. 2, is there a way to give an extra slot for like starting profession like items? It's a common discussion. There may be some profession bags in the future that make it easier for you to swap tools and stuff, but at a base level, no, you just there's a way for you to do it where you are able to put those slots on your hotbar. So like if you've got an axe and a pickaxe and a sword, you can actually set it up so that your slots, when you hold down the button, you just hold down, I think it's just left click, hold it down, it will then pop the slot onto your cursor, and then you can put it on your hotbar, and you can actually put the slots on your hotbar, and then you can click and swap between them. Yeah, there's the thing with the game is there's a lot of like weird. No, you can do that right now. There's a lot of like weird power user moves. Yeah, you're right. You guys probably are the bad guys. You're going into people's dungeons in their homes and killing them, taking their stuff. That's where the term murder hobo comes from. Because like back in the day, the hobos, the guys that had the little bags on the sticks and the beards and the beanies, and they would ride the trains. And then you just put murder in front of it. Crispy Peanuts said, hey, I played for about 20 hours on playtest, really enjoyed the experience. I was curious if there are any plans to add mechanics to monsters, especially named ones. There may be some additional abilities added here and there. There may be a little bit more class differentiation in terms of how they feel over time. But for like just common rares and stuff like that, it's kind of what you see is what you get. No crossbows was where we stood back in the day in terms of we said no crossbows a long time ago. You never know what'll happen, but that was where we stopped it, the conversation. And by the way, what's going on, squats? ZBrush said M&M adventures are basically doing breaking and entering and then having breakfast and hanging out in the monsters' homes and then waiting for them to respawn and then doing it again. It's like a horrible groundhog day for the monsters. Okay, I think I'm caught up. I'm probably caught up. Thank you for the follow, Phoenix. How do I feel about grouping versus soloing from this last test weekend? You're concerned that there's a shift towards soloing in the classes that do it well. I mean, solo classes have a tendency to solo, right? Like people that can kite, or especially if they can charm kite or kite multiple mobs or whatever, are going to tend to do that. People that want to be weirdo little necromancers are going to do that. I do that on my spare time sometimes. In terms of it just being the best way to play, that's really going to come down to continuing to refine the game balance, and in both game balance and itemization, and ensuring that you want to go places that are risky in order to get the items you need to continue to progress smoothly. When you go to those places, you're going to want to have other people with you, otherwise you're going to get stomped. If you're not getting stomped, then that's something that we've got to look at. So Criddle said the issue right now is that solo is more efficient than grouping, and too many classes can do it. Big sad for me, as I want more group focused. Yeah, I mean, it's a balance issue. I mean, there may be some additional things to look at in terms of like the formula or whatever. Looking at how XP's distributed, but for the most part, if you can solo in as efficient or as effective a manner as being in a group, then we've got to fix that on the balance side. Velizzi asks, had a question, is there any desire to increase the rate of skill gain at higher levels for combat skills that are super low? Like I do a mix of solo and grouping, but as a healer that means sometimes my non-healing skills fall way behind. However, I can't really grind evocation off myself, and it locks me into just maintaining a heal roll. I don't have an answer for you on that. I mean, it sounds like there's probably also a bit of just rebalancing the behavior, or your behavior, that would assist on that front. Because again, like how effective of a solo are you supposed to be as you get into the higher levels? Ideally, you're at least like duoing or playing with at least one other person, but ideally more. Are you able to track experience per minute / hour? Yep. Is a party experience bonus, is it, oh wait, just a party experience bonus or split formula? There is, I believe it's a split formula with bonuses. But anyway, the balance, like there's a lot of balance topics being discussed right now. Let me see if it's literally. No, not literally this very moment, but the the topics is being looked at, right? So things that we really want to have in good shape, as good a shape as possible going into beta, which is in 9 days. So we'll see. Honestly, since I'm probably going to be sitting here a bunch, I should probably just get you a better view. I don't know how much work I'm actually going to end up doing this stream. There's somewhere pretty. That's oddly dark. Hold on. Huh. Weird. Usually that brightens it up. Anyway, the things that we need to look at are making sure that the experience gain rate is in a good spot, right? We don't want people leveling too fast in general, whether that's solo or in a group or whatever. Just we don't want people leveling too fast. The game's about the journey. It's about, you know, grinding experience, camping, getting items, progressing, right? So we you know, our bread and butter is like the feel of progression. We don't want it to be so slow that people are just like hating life and it's too much of a grind, but we do want this to be a game that takes you a while to progress on. Then we need to look at efficiency in different grouping constructs, right? So looking and see, does it make sense to be in bigger groups? Or is it just always more efficient to be in a duo or a trio, or in some cases soloing? And on top of that, there's the difference between, is it more effective, I guess, to solo or duo versus being in a group? And then do you hit a point where, because you're not able to get the items that you need as you're progressing, your power level essentially starts to wane relative to the content that you're experiencing into? And so then you have to, no matter what, go back and get with a group at some point, because otherwise you're not going to be able to continue to progress through the itemization curve properly. Efficient Professor, thank you for the follow. Do Wiz and Int work like they did in EQ, where they also affect how fast you learn skills the more stat you have? I do not know that one. Do not know for sure. You can ask either in Discord or ask in Nick's stream. He probably knows. Otherwise, ask in Discord. Criddle said, issue is currently there are no less than 6 classes that can solo more efficiently than in a group. All right, but the stuff that I've been saying, is that resonating at all, or is it just going to be a fixation on what's been happening? Oh, okay. Auto P99 says, I wonder if there is a way to measure the amount of players who are waiting in the wings, so to speak, I played every moment I could in the spring and summer playtest last year, and then kind of fell off in the fall because I was really hoping to save as much misery as possible. I imagine there are a lot of folks in the same boat. Yeah, we do know that to be like a phenomenon. And we know that just from like people that we know that excuse me. People that we know that are doing that. Don't know what percentage it is. I guess if we dug in, we could maybe try to take a guess at it. Yeah, and we're probably going to be digging into some of that data a little bit more as we're going into beta, or as we're in beta going towards EA, just to, again, try to prepare us a little bit for essentially how many servers that we want to have available and stuff like that. We know that we've got, last I looked, we had 62,000 registered accounts. We know that a certain percentage of those have churned. Hey, what's up, Robert? We have 10,000, like 400 people opted in for wanting to play in the beta. We have 2,000 people that are currently flagged for closed testing. Got about, I think about 15,000 on the mailing list, about where are we at? 27,000 in Discord. How do you know if you're flagged? If you're flagged, you probably know. If not, you can always go to your launcher and see if there's a drop down that gives you access to closed testing. When you get flagged in the future, you'll be, the email address that you are registered with that's being flagged will receive a message. Do you know how many active players you'd prefer to have per server? Or what do you consider a healthy population per server? It's really going to depend on, it's less, the main challenge that we have is when we go live, we've got a limited number of starting locations, so that's a lot of newbies in one spot. So when we go into early access, we've got Night Harbor, and we've got Fail and Draw. And so a concurrent of the concurrent that we're shooting for will actually change as people start to level and get out of there. So I would say like day one, it will be, I don't know, like day one is going to be crazy. So I don't know, 1,000 concurrent per server. Day one is fine. By probably the end of that week, we can support 1,200, 1,500. And then what that translates out to for a given day is, what we've seen in the past is, if we've got a, if we've got a population of, if we've got a concurrent user count, a CCU of like 1,000, we're probably going to end up with like 3,000 to 4,000 over the course of the day. Yeah, our plan to date is to essentially have like a, the way I've described it is, you're describing it as server blocks. I've described it as essentially like a bracketed system, like a March Madness bracket system, where we know which servers are going to consolidate down, and then we'll make that known. So and we've already got like an idea of what that would look like behind the scenes. Will there be a US West and US East? I would not be shocked if you see those options on the server launch server poll that we have. And we'll release some information on incentivizing that a bit in the future, because it would really be good for us as we start to update the poll with more options. And those options are more reflective of what we'll actually go live with. Then having people lock in on that's actually helpful for us. So White Ghoul and Glam Skin Joe, thank you for the follow. You're in US East, but half of your friends are in the West Coast, so don't make us choose. You won't have to choose. Honestly, for the most part, if you played in previous playtests, not this most recent stress test, you were playing on servers that were in the Netherlands. The difference between East Coast and West Coast, you know, isn't going to be crazy. You'll be able to play. Barathos01, thank you for the follow. Is the box server dead on arrival? I don't think so. White Ghoul, thank you for the kind words. How did you guys settle on charging $15 a month? I can see that being a tough sell for younger or newer people when it's the same price as AAA MMOs. Not saying it's not worth it, but competition-wise, there are other MMOs for $15 a month. I mean, if that's the deciding factor, then I would be shocked. If the difference is like, hey, I could go play like this other AAA MMO, or I could play M&M. And the reason why I'm not playing M&M is the $15. I don't understand why that player would even be looking at the game, really. So the selling point, the reason why we went for $15 is it's been $15 for about 20 years. So the reason why if we say that $15 is expensive because that's what it costs at AAA, I don't know. I think it's, first of all, are those purely subscriber based, or are they also adding microtransactions and stuff like that in there? We're saying no microtransactions. Anything that you get in game is earned in game. There's no box price. There's no subscription, or there's no expansion price. So it's $15 a month. And $15 is, it's a foot long. $15 is KFC. $15 is one movie ticket. And I understand the economy's rough. I understand that not everybody has $15. I'm not trying to like make light of that situation. But like we have to charge something, and $15 seems fair to us. How is it that inflation over 25 years hasn't affected MMO monthly fees, yet people still say it's too much? I don't know. Like, it's the same. And then people are like, why is the games industry so predatory on the side, or why is it so unstable? But I think there's just kind of like there's a price range where it's like you can't really go above this, otherwise people, they just think about it too much. Right? And so, but I mean, excuse me. Like I said, I started, dude, kombucha makes you so burpy. I'm so sorry. I started, what did it cost? Was it like $5 when we first started playing EQ? And then while I was there, did it go up to 989, and then it went up to like whatever it was, 12 or 14? I thought it started out as like 5, then went up to 989 and everybody was going to quit, and then it went to like okay, 12 and then 14. And then the arguments that come up are, yes, but there was nothing else to play back then, but it was like, dude, it was $12 a month back then. Hey, little flower knight. Thank you for the kind words. It's cool that you're trying out some other stuff as well. Yeah, we felt like $15 was just one of those things that it felt fair, man. $15 again. $15 is like fast food these days. It's a movie ticket. But there was the same argument back in the day of like, how can you charge this much? And we were like, dude, you're playing 100 hours a month. Even WoW was $15 20 years ago. Yeah. we're you know. Zalrax, thank you for the follow. Barathos, if I didn't thank you as well. So it'll be $15 a month plus merch. Will there be 3, 6, and 12-month subs available? Eventually. We have the capability of doing it, but the essentially when it came up, my feedback, I don't know, maybe it's wrong or whatever, is that we should wait until people have been able to play for a few months before we put in like 3, 6, or 12-month options, because there are going to be people that try it out, and you're going to be super excited. We get a lot of people that are like, hey, I've just heard about this game and I've never played a game like this, and it's going to be the greatest thing in the world. I love it so much. But then they haven't played it. And so what if they give us 6 months worth of money or 3 months worth of money, and then they play and they're like, oh shit, you mean I leave a corpse? I gotta go chase what? My spell books on my corpse? Oh, I want my money back. Right? So Sweet D Willie. Look at you just sauntering in here with your raid. Just sauntering in. Probably a big smile. And you are welcome here. I appreciate the raid. I am humbled by your presence. Will there be 12-month subscription options? Eventually, probably, maybe. I'm so like old school, I'll be honest with you. 3 months is okay. 6 months, I'm like, it just feels like a lot. It feels like a lot to take from you. And then if you're like, well, give me a big discount, then I'm like, yeah, but that's my money. Right? So it's like, And playing with my money is like playing with my emotions, Sneaky Russian. Welcome, everybody that came in with Sweet D Willie. If you do not know us already, then hopefully you will get to know us. Are enchanters going to be keeping the reagent costs for their enchanting bar spells? I don't know 100% the exacts on that, but odds are, if you've got reagent costs, we put them in there for a reason. Reagent costs are a good sync, so we want to make sure that we've got trade skills having reagents that have costs. Criddle had mentioned pre-play so we don't crash the payment server. I'm hoping you're not able to crash. Guys, it's love you guys to death on some of the stuff, because it's funny. We live in this weird world of, on the internet, we live in this world of feedback that is like, people worried about our payment system crashing on day one, and the other half of the people thinking that we're only going to have 50 people playing, right? So it's this, we live in a very bipolar situation where it's like, on one hand, people are talking about like, I don't know, oversaturation of zones by month 3, and then the other half of the people are talking about the fact that there's only going to be 50 nerds that's, you know, played whatever back in the day. Right? So it's always like, what is it? Lion Art? Lone Lion Art, I'm sorry. Big stick of butter, spoon barred, horizontal EQ is not your name, Horizon EQ. Thank you for the follows. 50 people can crash the payment server. Criddle, you need to tell Swanee that. Criddle, your new mission, should you choose to accept it, is to tell Swanee about your concerns about the payment. Your nickname is Longitude? Or Longitude? Is there an innuendo in there, or is it really just Longitude? Zerical said, hey, Robot, really enjoyed the game. Couple questions. Dude, I'm sorry for this stream. Those of you that are just watching a black screen the whole time, I apologize. There are a lot of people asking questions, and I'm doing a very poor job of like trying to even pretend to do anything other than answer questions. It's that, but just kidding. Okay. What's better for the company, us paying monthly or a mix of monthly and 6 to 12 months up front? That's a great question, actually. I think consistency either way is good. In theory, if we have people early into the cycle paying chunks up front, and that money can be used for certain things to get like certain outsourcing or whatever rolling faster. But I'm a really simple dude. Like just $15 a month forever is the best. Hey Shiden. Mirko, thank you for the follow. Is there a way to gift Eminem sub to someone? Yeah, we're doing our best to account for that, or to facilitate that. Were there any lifetime accounts? No. Like purchasable lifetime accounts? No. Kidbad said, I'm gonna sub and forget about it. Love this game so much. Yeah, I mean, it is helpful if you guys run out of shit to do or whatever. If you want to not deactivate your subs, that's always helpful. But, and then you can come back for 1.0 or whatever. Are you still planning racial starting towns eventually, or just Night Harbor? Racial. There will be a racial city for each race. Matter of fact, just going in this week and dusting, dusting off the lists and stuff in preparation for like rollout plans and stuff. What can you tell us about this deep area you're working on? What populates it? What part of the continent is it under? I can tell you roughly where it's at, because that's already been blurted out before. And I can tell you that there's orcs in here because you have seen that. Let me, since I'm actually not doing any work, let me see if I can just hop in here. What? Huh? Freudian slip. What did I say? Will orc ever be a playable race? 0 plans for that. Will, and if so, when might we see a snowy biome? They're usually my favorite biomes. You want to sneak a little glance at a secret little snowy biome? Would it ruin it for you? Oh crap, I don't know where was I logged in last? Ah. I didn't look on the way in. What is that little green dot? That's what that little green dot is. Oh, I don't know if I'm even going to make it in. What's going on here? Will you add a way to cancel a petition in game without loading the web browser? Oh, that's a good question. Can you not do it through the in-game interface right now? Whoa. Encrypt, is that a Swanee thing or a you thing? A gnome? Quick, someone punt it. That is not how you endear yourself to me. Kind of both. We need to have a way to import the ticket to the client so they can see active tickets. Do we have an issue for that? Should I write a note down on that? The engine is Unity. The game is written in C#. What will rating be like in terms of mechanics, drops, and difficulty? It will be varied. Don't think we have an issue for it. I'll make a note. Issue for canceling petitions in game. I'm gonna say it wrong, but I want to say it Van Goozy instead of Van Goose. Thank you for the kind words. If you see my frame just kind of like not looking good, it's because I'm in Unity right now. And the client runs so smooth. Running in an editor because it's not like it's not a built out, I guess, so it doesn't have all the optimizations and stuff that you get while you're in the client. So it's like especially while I'm streaming. And it's actually, I've noticed it feels worse on my brand new, more powerful machine than it did. Which is wild. Maybe it's something I need to adjust on my end. Oh, it's not a, it's no, it's not a dial-up thing. It's not a networking thing. I'm running at 60 milliseconds. It's my frame rate going from like, what is it? $50-something to 30-something up and down. Well, that looks odd. Yeah, Unity is definitely a hog. Okay. Here we go. All right, those of you that didn't want to see snow, you need to close your eyes until I say something about opening them. Who was it that wanted to see a bit of snow? I will say pineapple when it's time to open. We don't have the snowy trees in yet though. And you see the things are popping a bit just because we need to bake out the occlusion. It's in progress. Hey, Swingburn. Will you leave footsteps behind? Oh, that would be good eventually. This is not the ogre area. This is just a special little area. It's snowy because it's magical. But north of here, there will be snow. Some of you have been up here before. Uh-oh. Ah, I forgot there's a secret zone line here. Saved the day on that one. Is there a special Robert Snowy music? Not yet that I know of, unless we're using the music from the... Excuse me, the Biome Jam. So this was the zone that we were in earlier. Mr. Zidark said, really enjoyed last test. My partner and I got more involved in the crafting trade skills instead of leveling. We really enjoyed it. Oh, beautiful. That probably didn't help. I need to stop drinking kombucha on stream. Oh, by the way, pineapple for those of you guys that were closing your eyes. Have we addressed the music in Wormsbane and AC cutting in and out? I believe that was put in front of Robert and Rondo to look at. You call that drink bougie? That sounds kind of bougie. The bridge view is awesome. Yeah. I was so excited to put that in. I'm gonna be honest. I worked with Bjorn on that. I'm so excited. I hope like me being in here running around stuff doesn't like ruin it for you guys. It's just there's been a lot of work to do in here, and it's just one that I'm excited about. It was one of those dungeons where it's like, holy shit, are we gonna be able to get this in for EA? So I got excited. There's a lot of work to do in here still. Tell the sound team they're doing amazing. Well, Robert's right here. You're listening to Robert Helsinki's music. What percentage would you say the game's development is currently complete? Oh my gosh, that guy's bright. Yeah, there's a lighting thing that needs to be adjusted in here. In terms of content, when we go into early access, the hope is that the bulk of the core systems are good to go, but in terms of content, we'll probably be at about 20%. Somebody earlier asked if that includes Module 1's deep zones. And I think that's the best estimate for deep zones plus the stuff that you've been seeing. I think it's around 25% then. But it's kind of weird to say that because I don't think the deep zones are just like 5%. So it's a bit weird. It's like less than EA launch before Module 1's probably less than 20 a little bit. But then Module 1 will put us at about 25%. Yeah, Robert's music is such that it's like I've listened to the song so many times, but it's still something that I want to put on when I'm working, and I just want like some music in the background. If I'm not in like a weird time to listen to disco or whatever kind of mood. Hey, Overbit. What in the... Oh, okay. Is that Fat Johan? Did I say that correctly? Hey, speaking of, now we got both audio people in here. Hey, Rondo. What's up, Boomy House? Thank you for the follow. What do I think is the biggest misconception about Eminem if we had to pinpoint one? Goblin asked. Can you help get me started? What are you thinking, Goblin? What is a good example of what you're thinking on this? Oh, that is an EQ clone. That's an interesting one. I would say that is a good example of one that's just a misconception. Torch gives too much light because of the settings in his zone. We gotta fix these settings. Squad said, I see people repeat the harsh difficulty line from the website, but honestly, once you get used to initial systems, it's not as tough as people say it. Not as tough as, you know what I mean, as people paint it. I like every once in a while when people think that we're... They say something along the lines of, oh wow, this reminds me of Final Fantasy XI. Or Dark Ages, or... Hey, do you guys think these bats should be bigger? There's something about them being smaller that kind of feels good in here. I can't make them fat. Make them even smaller and add 3 times as many and make them social. I guess that would be that's a thing to do. Have some hanging from the ceiling? We do not have bat hanging from the ceiling technology yet. We got to make sure they've got that echolocation screech that stuns for 10 seconds. That would have to be like rare. Otherwise, that's a lot of getting stunned. Forget the Rat King. Let's get a Bat King. We have opportunity for both in this zone. Environments. Inspector. Environment deep. Oh, instead of a tangle of rats, make a tangle of bats. Yeah, that is a Rat King. What's up, Bugbear? Speaking of bats, had a good laugh last night when I ran into a shark. The pH sound they make are bat squeaks, like an old bear sound. Range Tillas, I don't even... Am I just reading it that oddly, or is what you're saying just kind of... Oh, in-game. I thought you meant in real life, dude. I was like, because I was thinking playtest is over, so how would you run into a shark? Except in real life. And I was like, sharks make squeaking sounds in real life? I've never... That's the craziest thing I've ever heard of. Yeah, it's just... You had my brain completely broken. It's like, what in the world? And then why would you do that? I'm not a... Is there an epic trailer being prepared for EA? There may be like a little bit of a trailer like how we do them, but we're not one of these companies that's spending like a bunch of money on, you know, having Blur or somebody go do crazy CG. Excuse me. Goblin said my example of a misconception would be that the art is done. As you see the game is a finished product. It's obvious we are in alpha, but it can still get lost on people. We have so many great giant visual jumps in quality all the time. Yeah, and I mean, I've got the feeling that even... No, we're not working with EA. EA is early access. Even as we work through like early access towards 1.0, things will continue to be refined and changed. The game goes into early access on June 1st. And Goblin, that's one of those things that's like, it's gonna be it's going to be tough, right? Like, try to, you know, give the team a realistic, I don't know, heads up on what it's going to be like to... There's going to be a lot of feedback, especially once people are paying $15 a month. And there's going to be, you know, there's a lot of really positive feedback, and we appreciate it. It's always nice. It's motivating. There's going to be a lot of, like, not so great feedback, and that's the industry. Has the decision been made on how much access will be given out for closed beta? Chapley, yeah, but we haven't announced it yet. If they don't fix this, they'll never have a game. If they don't fix this, the game will fail. If they don't change this, then it's then the game will only have 50 subscribers after 2 months. There are a couple of things that we just really, and I would say even there, I guess in a worst case you can screw it up, but like, you know, catastrophic errors are more on the lines of everybody logs in and in a week they're all level 60. The economy gets completely blown out and out of control, and we don't have any means of like mitigating it. There are those things that we've got to avoid. But we're going into early access, and then we're working towards 1.0. I guess the biggest misconception is that, kind of along the lines of what you're saying, that and I don't know that it's the biggest misconception, but it's the most interesting misconception that we've run into lately, which is, a lot of people are, you know, for us at least, a lot of people are discovering the game. And I think this counts as a misconception. As people discover the game and they're seeing like different content creators reference us, or they come in and there's a, you know, a decent sized community or whatever, I think a lot of people are judging us, in all fairness, as a consumer, rightfully so. They're just comparing us to any other potential game that they could be playing, which again, that's fair. That's how the market works, right? Like, you could either play this or you can play that. No one gives a shit that the game was made as kind of, it started out as just a conversation in chat, kind of a meme 5 years ago. No one cares that for the first year it was just capsules and some janky environments that like I was whipping together until Zukin and Harrison and Goblin joined. Like, no one cares that the team has grown over the years and hasn't always been like 40 people. No one cares that we've taken nobody's money, no investment. We've just paid for it out of pocket. Right? Like, at the end of the day, people just, they want a product that they enjoy. And so I think one of the interesting misconceptions now is people that roll up on us and they're like, oh, so this is essentially a game that's been developed in the manner that other games have been developed in. These guys have money, decided to make a game, you know, got money, took money, and so it's just like, it's being judged, which is actually kind of cool. It's being judged right along with, hey, I could be playing this, or I could be playing, you know, RuneScape, or I could be playing, yeah, just whatever, right? And so I think it's fair for people to think in this manner, but it's an interesting one to go from basically we were just kind of like trying to see if we could make anything at first. And next thing you know, we have a 40-person team and an MMO that like somebody's actually heard of. Right? It was weird. It was weird being in a top 10 list last year for Screen Rant, I guess. Or do they have like a games kind of section? No, not 40 full-time. The almost all of the team is just part-time volunteers. But yeah, it was weird being in like a top 10 list in something like, you know, Screen Rant or whatever it was. That was at the time, I think, with like Ashes of Creation and Dune and the whatever the Riot MMO is going to be and upcoming WoW expansion, some other stuff. Oh, I think Raps game. Yeah, so it's cool to be judged. It's cool to be judged alongside these other titles, but you know, when people come in, I hope the thing that we can sell them on is, you know, that's why we publish our finances to date. That's why we try to spell out our team's history as much as possible. That's why we try to give you as much information as possible on who we are, so that hopefully people can judge us accordingly. And that's not to say that we always want to just have like this handicap where it's like, oh yeah, you guys put up with whatever thing that's kind of shitty or whatever. But when people come in and they're like, you know, what makes you think that you can make a game where you have this friction that's in here and blah, blah, blah. It's like the thing that makes us think it is because it's our damn game, you know, like paid for this shit out of pocket. This was my savings, you know, this is Ollie's like, you know, money. This is the team's volunteering. And if the team is like, if the team doesn't believe in it, then you know, that would suck if anybody on the team doesn't believe in it. But we started this, it was 4 of us, and then it was 3 of us, and then there was more of us. Like everybody knows what they're getting into when they mess with us. So, and like why, you know, the question of like why would you do it this way? Because we have the opportunity to do it this way. Like, you may be right. There may be like a 85 or 95% chance that the decisions that we're making are just not the right ones, and that's why people, you know, people haven't been doing this for 25 years for a reason, or 20 years for a reason. Like, no shit, I get it. But this is on the flip side, let's just say hypothetically it does work, or at least it works a bit. It doesn't. Did I mute myself? No. It works a bit. Like if at 30, what if we run into something where the formula is not for everybody, but 40% of the formula is kind of showing you that some of the old shit actually really works well. Or say we're composed of 10 decisions and people are like, oh man, all 10 of those decisions should have been left, you know, back in 1999. Okay, sure. But what happens if like 4 of the decisions or 5 of the decisions actually prove out to be like really decent? And some other company that's not as stubborn or not trying to like be as specific or whatever, assuming we don't make any changes in the future, What if some other company then is able to grab those decisions and make something that is even better, but isn't like, we spent all this time listening to everybody bitch and moan about like WoW clones and everything's a WoW clone, and you know, there can only be one WoW, and that's why everybody else is failing because they keep trying to recreate WoW. And it's like, okay, fair. But it is a good formula. Like, it's an enjoyable formula, and WoW's done well. And so people have tried variations on that formula. And all we did was go back and say, what if we go even further back and we look at it and go, what if we keep a lot of the just rough edges and weird stuff and the kind of froofy RPG stuff and the weird UX, but it feels a little more like a text adventure or a MUD or engaging. So what if, like, let us try that. And we're doing it at a very low cost to anybody but us. And even for us, it's like we spent 150 grand over 5 years. Like, what do you want from us? Right? So, but it's cost you nothing, critics. We didn't take anybody's investment money and blow that shit on salaries. Right? We're not, you know, like, we've outlived a number of studios that started around the same time as us or after us. You know, people are coming in, like, I love the people that are coming in from AOC. It's welcome. And the people that this is the right formula for, like, please, welcome. Love you guys. Yeah, the project's completely self-funded. It's self-funded and volunteer time. All the team has been volunteering their time. And the additional expenses, like, basically Ali and I have covered out of pocket. Right? And so, but people that do come in are like, hey, I was interested in AOC and now I'm checking this out. If this winds up being the game for you, that's amazing. But like, you're comparing the end result of, I guess in theory, who knows at this point, tens of millions of dollars of investment. I assume some of that money actually made it, you know, customer facing. But versus $140,000 in 5 years. And who knows, man, like if it's just like some of the decisions that don't work out, the one thing I will say, like from a personal standpoint, is it's been gnarly being able to assemble and work with a really cool, very talented team of people who are just so passionate that they're like doing it at a cost to themselves, and be able to get this far. So like, I think this team, even if we, you know, decide at some point that the formula is incorrect, I will say that the team's ability to execute on something and ship something, which a lot of teams can't do in this industry. Teams with experience and money, and that it's their whole focus. That's what's paying their rent. They come in to work each day, and they've got, you know, the security until they get laid off, or I guess the entire studio disappears overnight. But like most teams, you know, they're coming in and they're like, they've got a paycheck, and they're able to focus on work, and they get, you know, stuff done. But some of those teams don't ship. Some of those teams just, no, they don't get to this point. So I'm not trying to talk shit. I'm not trying to like get out too far over my skis or whatever. I'm just saying, like, for me, it's pretty damn cool. Even if people don't agree with all the design decisions or whatever, it's pretty amazing to me as somebody that's been making games since, you know, 2001. It's pretty amazing to me that we have a team that got together, was interested enough in the common goal, works well together, and like made some shit that you guys 6,600 people played over a surprise stress test weekend. Like, hey, that's not 6 million people, I get it. 6,600, it's not like the biggest number in the world, but it's pretty cool. So yeah, anyway, that's whatever set me off on that one. Is Yeah. Thank you, Fun Times. Yeah. So, anyways, during part of that ramble, what I was saying is just like, hopefully, even if this winds up not being the perfect formula, hopefully it gives some hints to some other teams that may be trying to refine their formulas or trying to like come up with a new formula. So. Oh, guys, remember when you're looking at like Project Gorgon's numbers, keep in mind that that's like those are concurrent numbers, so they had even more people playing than that, right? So if they hit like 3,500 concurrent, I wouldn't be shocked if they had something like 10 or 12,000 people play that day. I think the Project Gorgon story is like super amazing. It's that is I was explaining that one to someone earlier today, and it was just like, dude, that's a tough one. Like that is, wow. That is a very kind of like bittersweet story that they've got. It's just it's tough. Yeah, it was Mega Funk. It was, you know, for I think the bulk of the project, I think it was just Eric and Sandra, right? And occasionally as they had money to have people work, I don't know, they might have had like a third person that was helping them regularly or whatever. Yeah, and she was battling cancer, and then finally she passed away last year. It was like, it was gnarly because afterwards there was just like an update where he said, hey, I'm going to try to keep the update on schedule, right? And then yeah, there was a memorial on Sunday for her. Last Sunday. So mentioned Diminem to a couple friends, but they didn't like the idea of $50 a month for EA MMO. Going to convince them though. I mean, at the end of the day, it's if they're not into it, try again in a year or two or whatever. The hope is that as we grind forward, that the game just gets, more and more robust in terms of the amount of content, and then it's the features get more and more refined and more polished. Who knows? Maybe we'll have changed some decisions by then. But and we'll have fresh servers depending on our player population. We may have fresh servers as we go, right? Because there'll be some fairly decent beats as we're releasing modules. Pony Bolts. Is that Leo Malmquist? Mortania? Cowabunga streams? Intio? Vicinder? Absalon? Benevil? Yeah, I think that's everybody. Thanks for thank you for the follows. What's my full Eminem dream? Like everything we did want happened? I mean, the biggest thing for me would be if we can have a game that satisfies enough subscribers that we're able to bring everybody on the team that wants to come on full time, and we're able to deliver the full scope of the game, the 1.0 game. It never needs to be massive. The hope would just be, that we have a stable little company, and then we can take the lessons learned from making this game over time and, continue to build out either the IP or additional games or, right? Like everybody, I think one of the challenges that we have is a lot of people are in the position when they make their first game as a studio that they're trying to make like a WoW or something at least in the ballpark, right? They're trying to make, when you've got a new little AAA studio where you're trying to make a AAA game or even a big AA game, then I don't know. It's my belief that a lot of studios are shooting too high. The goal that we discussed early on was, can we make a studio and have it last, right? Like people want to make WoW, but they're forgetting the part where they had to be Silicon and Synapse and make like Rock and Roll Racing and port some games and then eventually make Warcraft. And then how many years after Warcraft was WoW? 10? 11? I did not forget Lost Vikings. I just didn't want to mention every game. ZBrush said, I always say we're a GarageBand developer. Yeah, I mean, it's very much the case. Like we really are starting in the garage as opposed to starting in the garage with 3 million in funding. I think those are slightly different experiences. How do I feel when people say M&M is way better for them than WoW? I think we're different games, so that might be true. And in that case, that's awesome. Do you think Scars of Honor, new game coming soon, could sustain their economy only with selling cosmetics, like they have announced? I'm not sure. I'd have to look into everything that they're doing. I've seen it and I've seen it announced, but I haven't, I'll be honest with you, I haven't dug into the business model. I always get I get a little nervous when companies have like if they've got sustained operating costs, right? So there's going to be continued development and there's continued like server costs and stuff like that. Those server costs aren't as crazy as they used to be, but like I've worked on teams where you have to make your money through selling cosmetics and stuff in the past. And that becomes the team's focus. Especially if you get crunched, right? Like, especially if it's like, oh, cool, we just started. And so it's the same thing if you're just selling the box, right? If you don't sell enough of just the boxes, if you're not Hello Games, then it's kind of hard sometimes to sell X number of boxes and then ration that out for as long, right? Then you've kind of got, all right, that's our runway forever, or until when? Yeah, I think it is a double-edged kind of like problem, which is so cosmetics wind up, if you're funded by cosmetics, then a lot of your focus is in making more cosmetics. And then how many cosmetics does your world actually need? It's one thing, I guess, if you're making it's one thing if you're making something like Overwatch, which I was perfectly cool with the cosmetics and honestly the loot boxes and stuff with the original Overwatch. That honestly, it winds up becoming just a scale thing. Like cosmetics wouldn't work well for us because there's not enough of you. Cosmetics work well for Path of Exile because there's a shitload of people that have played Path of Exile. So it's kind of it's a scale question. It's kind of like when you guys have asked, why haven't you taken our money? Because there's not enough of you. So it would suck to kind of like break that thing, you know, cross that line and be like, oh yeah, now we're taking money and there's just not very much money to take. Yeah, we're definitely going to do merch. We love the idea of merch. We love merch. Oh, it's not fog on the bottom of the ground. It's very shallow streams. Cosmetics are awful for games like M&M. You want people to have envy for those players with cool looking gear that put a ton of effort into getting it. That's how people get hooked. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of cool to just know that the unique stuff that people have in a game like this is because they've earned it. Valkron said, robot Chris Wilson, who developed a game called Path of Exile, funded it on his American Express card and developed it in his mom's garage. Is that where the GGG comes from? No, grinding gear. Okay. I immediately like started transposing garage into the name for some reason. Wisdom Inc., thank you for the follow. Also, nacho cheese. Some merch options you'd love to see: blankets, mugs, mouse pads, crew neck sweater, hoodies, t-shirts, hats. Yeah, we're gonna have fun with merch. Don't worry about that. Merch is one of the things I'm super excited for. Coffee and a mug? Everybody's making coffee these days. I guess it's feasible. Definitely some prints. My mug's actually held up pretty well over the years. What about my jugs? I think my jugs have held up pretty well over the years as well. Got decent jugs. Wasn't there a No Effects song that was the whole theme? Heard the latest stress test was rip-roaring success. Congrats. Yeah, it was cool. We got some good data. People were able to play for a while. I think winners all around. You had three brand new people introduced to Eminem during the playtest. I was able to group play with them Friday through Sunday, and even got into Wormspan with him. Showed them several camps. It was a super great time, and they're infected. That's awesome to hear. Yeah, I mean, if we just have the number of people that played, over the weekend, play for the rest of the year once we go live, we'll be in okay shape. The question I have is, like, when does it wear off? Okay. I know there are some people that have been in closed testing for a bit and have, been playing the game for quite a bit. And what I'm looking at there is, like, I know that, like Criddle was saying earlier, like, I'm sure, be sure to watch Criddle's streams and stuff and get it firsthand, but, like, there are concerns, there are things that need to be fixed or changed. There's absolutely feedback, and hopefully we'll hit the major stuff and people will be a little, a little less concerned, or feeling that things, I see where things are heading. I don't think it's going to be, there's like critical failures or whatever. Criddle's got a stream tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern. Right? So hopefully we at least hit that level of confidence for folks before we go into early access. And I know that time's coming up fast, but, like, my big curiosity is, if you've played for a while, do you still like it? Does it still feel good? Like, my ultimate curiosity is, it's always cool to hear the people that come in and they're like, hey, I had a great weekend, or I've played in a few of the play tests now and it's been a lot of fun. Like, the real question is, You know, do you want to come back in a month? Do you want to come back for 3 months? Do you want to come back in 6 months? Are you excited about, you know, are you looking forward to the day that the module comes out that's got the halflings, you know, city, blah, blah, blah. So that's where the curiosity is, because again, we don't, I think we're actually in a better position if we come out and we have a subset of our total potential players play the game in the first like couple of months, you know what I mean? And then a few more people play, and like we're always going to have a certain amount of churn, but then over time we have more people check it out and they stick around, and even if it's like 3 people check it out and only 1 person sticks around, even if that just keeps going. Squat said, I haven't stopped since I started. Does that help? Yeah, every little bit helps. Do you have any plans to do advertising if subs aren't quite where you want them to be after a few months, or do you have other approaches in mind? I mean, we just kind of have to look and try to see if we can figure out why that's the case. I mean, the funny thing is, or not the funny thing, I guess, but the odd, no, it's not even odd. The thing that kind of happened over time was we went from just thinking, hey, I mean, some of you that are new here, have you ever even, have you seen the game that we thought we were going to ship? We just wanted to make like a little, it was almost like a game jam game that we started. When we first started, we were just like, okay, we're gonna make this game, and then we're gonna like make it a little bit better, and then we're gonna release it. And it's just kind of like, well, that escalated. So, you know, we weren't expecting that there was gonna be we've never been expecting just a shitload of like players or whatever. But we've got a crew of people that we want to make sure are taken care of. So, you know, it'd be cool if we get at least like 10 or 15,000 of you stick around for a bit. We're like, yeah, this doesn't look too bad. We just need a little bit of character art. I think we got another. I mean, this was like week 1. So, in all fairness. We're like, all right. We're done here. The Mage Guild was in there. The Wizard Guild was right there. Are we planning the equivalent of Night Harbor for every race? No. No. As you can see with like Fail and Draw, it's a little more tame. Elvareth, the Deep Elf City, it's pretty dope. I'm pretty excited. But like scale wise, it's not gonna be so crazy. See you, Coot. Is there concern that Night Harbor will be much more popular than Phalantrol for a starting location? No, not really concerned. I mean, there's not much you can do about it. Do you feel like you have a good handle on keeping up with the module releases while simultaneously revisiting existing content for balance, adjustments, so on? I feel like we're getting a nice stream of new things being introduced all the time and old things being adjusted. It's going to be hard to tell until we're a little bit closer to EA, and which also then means we're a little bit closer to Module 1 release. So we'll know by the time we release Module 1 what it's looking like, and then we'll get a feel for depending on go home. Sorry. And depending on what the turnout's like what revenue we have to be able to allocate to both full-time employees and, you know, any outsourcing that we can do, we'll see what our capacity is looking like. If we wind up with like 1,000 subs or 3,000 subs or 5,000 subs after the first couple of months, then it'll be slower and steadier. And that'll be, you know, there'll be some interesting conversations there. If we're at like 10,000 subs or 15,000 subs after the first 3 months, then we should be able to move along at a pretty okay rate. If we're at more than that, then in theory we should be able to move faster. But we'll see. But we think about this stuff and think about like what it means, you know, in terms of what type of staffing we would need to be able to do what at, you know, what rate, right? Because it's different folks that we need to do different things. So we'll see. When will we put on Steam? Probably there's no plans to. If we do, you know, if we do pretty well and the game's in a more complete state and we feel like we need Steam in order to access players that we haven't been able to reach before, then that's when we would consider it. Those of you that are new to the stream, keep in mind this is not what my normal work day looks like. That's why I've sat here and kind of bullshitted with you guys for a couple hours and made a grand total of 1 bat move. So, speaking of which, if you watch the previous streams, we got all of the housing in place in Sage side. So got that done. That was exciting. Hey, Archon. Well, that would be out if it were. I mean, you don't stream every day, so it'd be if it were a normal day, you'd just be reacting to chat that wasn't there. I was going to say something witty about talking to myself. Chinny said, if you enjoyed that bat move, tune in next week. Same bat place, same bat time. I hope not. So I'm going to stream again tomorrow. But tomorrow I'm going to be doing actual propping work. Probably. Because there's little stuff that I want to get in. So like, not here. This is a big one. But there are a couple of these falls that I want to make sure that I've got like some boulders on, so that's not that one either. I know there are a couple. Got to clean that stuff up. May even put in a couple more tunnels to kind of backtrack. All of these are the big ones, so you won't be able to just hop back up via like rocks or ledges. I'm trying to remember, there was an example somewhere around here. This is an interesting one. We'll have to fix that. The math is not mathing on this waterfall. Hey, Tired Worm. Is Petrify a status in game? I am not aware of a Petrify. Oh, this is the example I was looking at. But I think here, yeah, you can get up there. Oh yeah, so like this one. Just tossing a couple rocks, make it a little bit easier. Will you add a Petri flask? Do you not feel like that would be too derivative? Can you fish in that water? Yeah, you should eventually be able to fish in parts of this water. What are the challenges when it comes to optimization? When alone during the playtest, the game felt super smooth and snappy, but when a handful of players were on screen and those big frame drops, was it just when it was a handful, or was it when you're in a city? Do you have plans, Datham? Are you asking seriously? Hey, Primus. Curious if you guys are planning what you got. Let me start over and actually read what you typed instead of just making stuff up. I'm curious, are you guys planning for items to be in game that take a long time IRL to acquire? The best example I can think of is a sword in MMO called Maganobi, which takes you over a year of IRL grinding to acquire. We'll have some items in that will take a decent amount of time investment to either camp for or quest out, and the quest will then be a series of different camps, if I had to guess. Is hide all corpse supposed to hide corpses from mobs I just killed before I looted them? I had to toggle between hide and show every time I killed something. Have you looked at all of the options that are available for that? You've got hide corpse all, hide corpse NPC, hide corpse player characters, group, non-group, all but group, and looted, along with current and always. And if you're ever curious about you're trying to figure out some commands or whatever, just /help space and then whatever it is you're trying to think of, like, so in this case you could just put /help space corpse or hide. And check out this guide if you haven't before. Someone made a pretty neat site with commands, neatly organized and interactable. Yes, they did. If you look for SLM dev, all one word, SLM DEV in our Discord, you'll find it. Is the plan for new player info to mostly be from the online guide and not to have tutorials in game? Yeah, that's correct. So if you're serious earlier, Datham, no plans for like arachnophobia mode or anything like that. Crowlers89 says, big fan of the game and the team's effort. Cannot wait for EA. Excited to have you. Mertz, hello. Hello, my Chancellor. Hallo, wie geht's, Mertz? Vielen Dank für deine Follow. However you say that in German. It's a good question, Goblin. I don't know if I can just think of it off the cuff. There's a lot of like, just, I think, little things. Or things that wound up being later additions that were like, ah, but it's better with that in place. I can't, like, my brain's just not. That's one of the unfortunate part of like streaming is I'm not really on my game thinking wise when I'm streaming. It's odd. I just always feel a little kind of on the spot, so I'm like, I don't know. my brain goes back like 10 seconds. So if people are like, "Oh, what was your mom's maiden name?" I'm like, "Well, first of all, that's the security risk. I can't tell you. But second of all, honestly, I can't think of it right now because I draw a blank." Man, what is that? I'm the same way. I have no idea. I think it's just there's a certain amount of like performance anxiety. Because I'm definitely not like that when I'm not on stream. Freaking fried this week too. Well, there's that as well. Oh shit, it's almost 9. Interesting. Are you still feeling confident about March 1st start for beta? Yeah, it'll be okay. It'll be okay. We'll be good. It'll be fine. Goblin, if you can think of I can't even talk on stream at this point. My caffeine's already worn off and I don't want to consume any more. So Goblin, did you have one in mind? Well, a fellow snoozer. No, it's actually it's not nicotine, it's caffeine. The approach to expansion of the world, world level and content spread, something versus something akin to like lower guck. Oh yeah, and the segmentation of players over time. I guess that's one we hit earlier, right? I think trying to yeah, but again, that's not like a decision. Well, those were actual decisions that were made, I guess, over time. In hindsight, I think there is just decisions over time that we look at and go, all right, in hindsight, we don't want to do anything that shrinks the feel of the world or invalidate the value of like being teleported around by different classes. But there are a number of things where it's like, let's just smooth that a little bit, or honestly, let's just take it a lot deeper. Yeah. All right, guys, I'm fading. I just realized like how much I've faded in the last like 30 minutes. The caffeine is worn off. And it is almost 9 p.m. here. I started early, but I also was hoping to get done early. Lance Loudpack said, I never played EQ. I wasn't even alive when the game came out. And I'll tell you, I spent all weekend in your game. I think non-EQ crowd's going to flock to this game. Can I ask how old you are, Lance? And then I'll say goodnight to everybody. 26. Right on. Yeah, I'm really hoping that that's the thing that people are under. It's something that's been on our mind since we first made our original sort of like marketing plan. We believe that folks like you exist. Not a ton of you necessarily, but we do think that young 26-year-olds Oh, and a 27-year-old white ghoul. We think that the under 30s... I'm moving it up a little bit. Ramji. No, I like that you asked the questions, Goblin. I just feel bad that I don't have better answers for you. I feel like I'm a lot snappier when I'm not on stream. Hail Super Satan 13. Well, at least it's not Ash Wednesday that you popped in here, Super Satan. All right. You stand behind me, Satan. But thank you for the follow. Anyway, you young folks, you children are the future. I hope that there's many of you, and then you tell some of your friends, and you guys enjoy it. I just think it's a different type of game. Everybody's like, oh, you had to have played EQ, or you had to have played EQOA or Final Fantasy 11, otherwise you're not going to like the game. I think there's people that are just going to be interested in something that feels a bit different and feels a bit deeper, more mysterious. Some of the clunkiness is kind of fun, I think. I don't know. Could be bullshitting. Anyway. Alright, I'm going to start saying goodnight to folks, and then I'm going to get out of here. I don't want to waste your time anymore with my babble. I'll be around tomorrow. I'll try to be a bit more energetic. And we'll see if we can place some rocks or something. So let me say goodnight. I'll miss some people tonight. Oh, I didn't see my dear friend Justin Beard. Alright, hopefully he'll be here tomorrow. Otherwise, I'm going to check on him. Puddlefoot, see ya. Followed by A-Foot X. See you. See both of you feats. Maybe tomorrow, maybe next week. Swingburn, thanks for being here. Squats, always a pleasure. Big stick of butter. Take care. Chaz Solo, hey, you have a good night as well, and thanks again. Gunnervolf. See ya. Dolce and Katana, thanks for being here. Mertzerker. Slayheim. You guys take care. See ya, Craft. Track 'em. Absalon. My dear Robert in Helsinki. I'll see you in Stack, brother. Lancelot Pax, thanks for the follow. See ya, Gorf. White Ghoul. Toxins. Ram Jahika. Later, Mint Gorilla. Warlock. Mr. Woogums. See ya, Bill. Viro. Enjoy my day. It's nighttime. I'm going to bed soon. I'm tired as all get up. Trying to wiggle into alpha. Trying to wiggle into alpha to join my stack. Interesting. White Ghoul. Big Shot 92 said community star for a good MMO. Never played EQ either. Good game. Will make the name for itself. Right on. And it is a pleasure to have you. Tiavorrar, Antref, Granthia, Tone Deaf, Short Talk. See ya, Pipes. Gowan said it's also at the end of stream, right when it's fading. I asked the hard questions. Dude, I might have been able to answer earlier, but I'm not even going to say that. See ya, Doggeroni. Later, Shrews. See ya, Bugbear. If it feels like you're playing D&D, then we have done our job. People are like, oh, you just copied the... No, we're trying to copy the games that the games in 99 copied. We're a blatant copy of Deku Mud. With better graphics. See ya, Meeks. Good night, Rondo. I feel like I'm missing some people, but we're stretching it out. I'm almost there. Night Dadvik, Tsunami-san, Baked Beans, Corinthia again. Bro, people like Factorio. Their games for every ilk of people. Dude, there's some stuff out there. I once stumbled into a forum that was nothing but pictures of foxes pooping. Just hundreds of pictures of foxes pooping. So there's something for everybody on the internet. And it was fascinating, I'm not going to lie to you. Good night, Hail Super Satan 13. You're very welcome. Thanks for being here. Bye, Criddle. You guys be sure to check out Criddle's stream tomorrow. I think he said 9 Eastern. See ya, House Panth, Drew, ATX, Wongus, Crazen, Comanche, Mac Miggity. Later, Chinny. See ya, Goblin. See ya, Pipes, Tassel, Malik. Stumbled into. I really did. I stumbled into it, but I did not leave. Am I rating ZBrush? Is he on right now? Honestly, I was falling out. I was just like, later, no, Lone Wolf, Gorebound. All right, if people are still around, then we'll raid it real quick, and then I'm getting out of here. All right, I'm out of here. Let's raid real quick, and then I'm looking for him right now. ZBrush. Let's do it. Click the button fast, guys. All right, we're raiding now. Everybody take care.